been frozen out.
Facing an extinction level event.
We don't fight this fight right now, you're not going to have black-owned music. Folks, radio royalties is a huge, huge issue, and a lot of artists and musicians, they're fighting for those rights. Now, y'all, it's a really complicated system. So when you're listening to the radio, when you're listening to music on the radio, the artists, they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid. The American Music Fairness Act will require AM and FM radio stations to pay royalties to musicians and vocalists. As of right now, only songwriters are paid royalties by radio stations. Now, there are a lot of people out there, especially radio station owners, they contend that they are providing free marketing, if you will, to the artists. But truth be told, their whole business model is built on free music. Joining us right now is five-time Grammy Award-winning singer, Dionne Warwick. She says that the recently unveiled legislation should have happened when Frank Sinatra brought the issue to Congress 60 years ago. And politicians have procrastinated for far too long. She joins us right now. Always good to see you, Dionne.
How you doing?
I am doing great. Glad you took a break from smacking folks on Twitter.
I'm not smacking anybody. I'm just asking questions.
This is one of those issues that the average person has no idea about. They think, oh man, your song goes to #1 on the Billboard charts, or it has it's the #1 when it comes to radio plays and how many spins it's getting. But if you're the singer, you're not getting paid.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Not getting one dime.
And so when we talk about this, and this has been going on for a very long time, and there have been a lot of people, including black radio station owners, who have been fighting artists on this, saying, hey, don't make us pay, make the record labels pay.
Yeah, it's amazing how they feel that they don't owe us anything. And without us, they probably wouldn't be existing themselves. You know, I don't know of an entity that would want to advertise on a radio station just to hear somebody talk. I think they are gravitating to radio stations that play our music, that gets the attention of people. So if that be the case, pay-for-play should be the simplest thing in the world to understand.
And the thing here, and again, people who don't understand the nuances of the game. I mean, the reality is, if you're a singer and you're not the songwriter, at the end of the day, your best shot at making money is touring. And you know, I love people. They talked about, oh my God, like when I remember when I was with Savoy Magazine, Arista, when they signed that $100 million deal with Whitney Houston. People like, oh my God, Arista signs Whitney to a $100 million deal. And I was like, y'all, that's an advance.
That's all it is.
That's an advance. I said, she got to make that $100 million back.
Oh, definitely so. She's got to sell that many recordings in order to honor that $100 million. You know, these numbers mean absolutely nothing. Not to the artists, anyway. They mean an awful lot to the record companies and to those who are making these deals for the artists. It's that's why, you know, I have to say I marvel and applaud our youngsters, those in the recording industry today, who have taken control of their own writing, recording. They get their own dollars because they sell their own recordings. You know, I'm so proud of them for taking the helm and saying, no, you're not going to cheat me out of what I am due. This is my property. Well,
in fact, what many of them are doing is what Sam Cooke did before he was killed, but it's also what Prince was really
Yes.
trying to get so many artists to understand by saying, stop signing record label deal, sign distribution deals. You don't, because at the end of the day, when you talk about marketing, they're charging you for everything. And so, and now what we're talking about here, now you have these radio stations who multi-billion-dollar corporations. You've got iHeart, you've got Urban One, Radio One, you've got Cumulus, you've got smaller, companies out here, and and essentially what they're doing is their entire business is built on getting free product.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. You know more about this than I do.
Oh no! Trust me, I'm very familiar with it because when I had my show on TV One, I was at the time doing a morning show. Kathy Hughes was a very strong opponent of this bill, and she ran some tough spots against some Black Caucus members like Mel Watt and Sheila Jackson Lee because they were supportive of this bill.
Yeah, it's amazing how, in fact, we almost lost a friendship. Kathy and I have been friends for I don't know how many years, and because of this issue. I just didn't understand how she didn't understand why we were asking to be paid. I mean, she's playing my records day in and day out. Why should I not reap the benefits of that as well? She's filling her pocket. Fill mine too.
You say y'all almost lost one. So did y'all patch it up? Because you still are out here advocating for this bill.
Oh, yeah. It's been 40 years that I've been involved. And that's ridiculous to think that a bill of this nature, which is so obvious. I mean, it's not something that you have to be a rocket scientist to understand. In fact, the last Senate hearing I did in New York, I even asked, I said, can we go back retrospectively? Let's go back to 1962 when I first recorded it. Can I get money from that period to this? It just doesn't make sense that we've been just made obsolete as far as radio stations are concerned. If we didn't give them our recordings to play, I don't think the advertising would be as lucrative as it is.
Well, where does the bill stand now? I mean, is it close? Do you think it's going to pass?
I certainly hope so. I mean, they have procrastinated long enough. They really have. It's time for them to get up off their humps and sign this bill into law and make it happen. I mean, it just doesn't make sense for it not to happen.
Where's the White House? Because you actually came to D.C. to lobby on behalf of this bill. Is the White House behind this bill? Is Congressional Black Caucus behind this bill?
Well, I certainly hope so. I haven't had an opportunity to meet with either the White House or the Congressional Black Caucus. But if it takes that, then Dionne always has no problem doing it. So,
have you seen young artists step into this and support this here? Because it sort of reminds me of young athletes who don't necessarily realize that the people who came before them made today possible. And so when you've had these battles over supporting of funds for veteran football players, the young guys are like, well, that's coming out of our pocket. But the reality is, without those veterans, you don't have the NFL you have today. And so are younger artists standing with you and others to say this needs to become law?
I've not seen any of the younger artists. I don't know if they are even aware of what's going on. The 90% of them basically have their ownership. So I don't know if they're really concerned or not. The concern basically is more for the legacies of those who have passed on. Their families could certainly benefit from this. And, it's just a matter of doing the right thing. I don't understand how much more they can take out of everybody's pockets, basically. I mean, those pennies mean an awful lot to us.
Right.
And yet, nobody seems to care.
Well, and you just made a good point there that people don't understand. They don't understand the estates, the trust the family members. And the reality is, and look, I love music. Anybody they see me on Instagram, you know, I first of all, I hate streaming music, so
Yeah.
I actually buy the song. So I buy the album, and so I remember Prince tweeted me back when I said no, I don't stream, because even with that, I mean, you have some songs that have been streamed 600 million times,
Yeah.
and somebody got paid $30,000.
That's right. Exactly. So, this is something that has to come out of politics. It just has to be removed from politics and brought into the mainstream. People have got to realize what is actually happening. So, like you said earlier, the normal person walking down the street thinks that Dionne Warwick, every time walk on by, got paid. And that's not true. That just didn't happen. And I wish it had, of course,
Oh
like
yeah.
every recording artist existing. I don't care who you are. We've just been taken advantage of. And it's time for it to stop.
Well, there have certainly been efforts to deal with that. We've had the lawsuits, we've seen just how unbelievably crazy these recording contracts were, how artists got screwed out of royalties, how they got screwed out of publishing. I mean, we can just go down the line. And so this bill here deals with that as well. And so we certainly going to make a few calls as well to find out where this stands in Congress and where some CBC folks stand as well, because it'll be very interesting to see a lot of folks who love to have folks like you perform at their CBC galas or their benefits. And it's great. Oh, we love, come on, we love hearing Dionne sing. But as you say, Dionne want to get paid.
Exactly. I think Janet Jackson said succinctly, "What have you done for me lately?" I mean, it's truly that. It really is. They call on us to do everything in the world, and we show up to do it because we believe in what their causes are. However, they've got to start reciprocating. They really do. They have to stand behind us and beside us.
Absolutely. Well, Dionne, you're welcome on this show anytime. All you got to do is just give us a holler. If you want to come on, just we make it possible. See, that's also what happens when you own your shit. You don't have to ask somebody else's opinion. Can we make this happen? So you're welcome on Roland Martin Unfiltered anytime.
Thank you, my darling. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your show.
I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. We'll chat soon.
Thank you, darling. Take care.
You take care.
I love you, too.
All right, love you. Let's
love you.
bring in my panel here, Ben, Teresa, and Mustafa. I mean, this is the business of the business. I talk about this all the time. You better understand the business of the business, Ben. And when people who haven't read these books and when they don't understand how a lot of these artists that we love and adore, and all of a sudden they get older. That's why you got some artists out there who are 70 and 75 and 80 and 85 still touring because they got no choice. Ben?
Over it pretty extensively, the amount that these contracts actually take from these artists. It's a dog-eat-dog world in that industry. And I do want to say, as an aside, I have been able to witness Sister Dionne Warwick's taking names on Twitter, and it is a fabulous thing to behold, and to just be on a panel after her is fascinating, and it's a blessing. But the artists have been taken advantage of in this industry for a very, very long time. I'm disappointed to hear what she said in terms of the younger artists not actively participating in it. Maybe they have enough control over their royalties and their distribution. They have an ideal situation. But my guess is that there are a lot of artists who are still vulnerable to the record industry as well as the radio industry, and they really need to rally behind this effort.
It's not surprising, Teresa, because I use the example of the NFL. If you're a current guy, you don't understand what in the hell those veterans went through. That ain't your thing, and you're like, why do I need to put my stuff on the line for you when the economics of the game has changed? The reality now is artists have been able to build their own following. They aren't beholden to the record label. They've got their social media. They can go directly to them. They can sell merchandise directly to them. It's a whole different world. And so what Dionne Warwick is saying right there is that, hey, there are thousands of singers who this could impact their estates and their children and their children's children, because classic music is timeless. I talk about music all the time, and I mean, to this day, we still are jamming songs in the key of life, which Stevie Wonder put out then 40 years ago. We're still talking about Marvin Gaye and what's going on. We're still jamming Count Basie and Duke Ellington, and we're still jamming the Temptations and the Motown sound and Aretha. We still are rocking the songs that are 50, 60 years old, and the reality is 50 years from now, at a family reunion, they're going to be jamming Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're going to be jamming Frankie Beverly and Mays and so many artists. But the reality is, when that music is being played on radio stations, if this law does not get passed, the songwriters, they get paid, not the artists who made those songs what they are.
And that's why everyone needs to advocate together, knowing that, again, these type of music wasn't meant for one generation. It was meant for generations to come. I can't not think about the July 4th and how many cookouts and block parties I went to, and you heard classic music. You heard radio stations playing it on the dial. And so to hear that there is a lack of dispersion of funds going to the artists, it's really just, paramount, because there has been so much, I think, update in the media sense, as in we have Sirius Satellite, we have HD2 as another network, we have HD3, but there is still, I think, that realness of component of just going to your local radio dial and knowing that classical music, classic R&B, classic love songs, i.e. the baby making music that they used to say, is still relevant to today. And so they should be compensated as such.
And look, Mustafa, if you're Kathy Hughes or at Radio One and Alfred Liggins, if you're iHeartRadio, if you're Cumulus, if you're any of these other smaller radio companies, I mean, you don't want your bottom line impacted. And so, what they've said is we shouldn't be paying. We're providing a free marketing service to them. The record labels should be paying it as well. And so, but whereas where Dionne is going, hey, your business, you're building a business off of basically free product.
If we're going to be family, then let's be family. We often call out when those who are not a part of the African-American community are doing the wrong thing and want them to be held accountable. We got to do the same thing. And hopefully we don't have to, we can come together with solutions. When I was working for John Conyers, which I'll always be thankful for, I remember he introduced HR 848, which was actually looking at a piece of this and trying to make sure that the artists were going to be fairly compensated on the copyright side of this issue. So this is a long-standing set of challenges that we could actually rectify. We just got to be willing to actually do the right thing. We should be taking care of those folks who actually, no pun intended, were the soundtrack of people's lives for a long, long time. And then it also builds a stronger foundation for these new artists. So hopefully there are some folks out there who are willing to make some investments around the education of why this is so needed and how it actually helps this next set of generation to be in a stronger position as they're negotiating and building, hopefully, their empire.
Back to that Roland Martin unfiltered video in just one moment.
Steve got all these jobs, got all this money, got all these awards. He talk about God and the Lord and his wife all the time. So he was over here talking, and his wife was there, and I knew it was his wife, so I walked up behind her and gave a kiss on the cheek. The projects in Steve came out in about 10 seconds, because he was like, I'm hearing some kissing over here. Who the hell is kissing my wife?
Well, Roland, you leaned into and you was doing this just to aggravate me, and I heard it out my ear, and I went, okay, man, I don't know who this brother is, but Essence is about to be different. And I spun, and it was the ignorant Roland Martin. messing with me, but hey, man, you know how I feel about that girl. So it was quite interesting, and I had to apologize because the CEO of Essence was standing right there, and me and Roland almost turned the festival out. It would have been quite different.
Now, speaking of turn the festival out, we also are always on our pocket square game. Always.
Now, I got to give Roland credit. We always battling each other for the different looks. Pocket squares are something we kind of specialize in. We try to make it. This is topping the game right now. This I've never seen. I will be stealing this look. As soon as I find the people from out of this country that he bought this stuff from, and I get a proper email, I'll be sending to China or wherever he bought Japan or Yugoslavia, wherever they made this, and I will be looking. That is hot. I got to give it to you. That's the best pocket square I've ever seen.
Now, last piece. Steve is a big golfer. I'm a big golfer. So when we gonna have this golfing brothers thing?
See, Roland, you're trying to talk me into something that you've been doing a lot longer than I. See, you've been playing golf since college.
I took it as my PE at Texas A&M in '87.
See, right there, I picked up golf after Tiger won the Masters. And then I bought a set of clubs and played with a custom set of clubs for 5 years without a lesson. I can't tell you the bad stuff I've ingrained into this swing. I just now started going over the top. I just cut that out. Okay. So, and I'm playing good though. I'm playing good for me. Well, what's your best score?
77.
That'll never happen here.
Well, Rodney Green is working with him. He's our good friend as well. But
77. I will tell you right now, I'm taking a full-page ad out in the USA Today.
So don't forget, if you want to watch the 2021 Essence Festival of Culture Live Loud virtual experience, go to essencestudios.com or essence.com.